What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another H.A.T format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your H.A.T format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have MEK97, who is going to be on Geargia. I'm not entirely sure if it's pure or if it's like Geargia hands or something of those sorts. We will have to see. Versus L-Dragon, who is going to be on Battlin boxer Traptrix. So anyways, this should hopefully be a good match. We will see. But anyways, let's get straight into it. Here, they're having a little back and forth, and it looks like Emmy is going to win the rock, paper, scissors and get to start this one out. Ooh, I already see some stuff that's pretty interesting in this one. Opening hands, we see Gear, Divine Wrath, Max C, Blackhorn of Heaven, and Breakthrough Skill. And on the other side, we see Soul Charge, Battlin boxer, Spar, Mermail, Max C, and Traptrix, Traphole Nightmare. From here, Emmy will get a draw for turn, getting another copy of Divine Wrath. And real quick, if you're not familiar with this card, it says when a monster effect is activated, discard one card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. So here we do see that they are on a lot more traps than, you know, what the average Geargia deck plays, but honestly, a pretty solid hand. Having double Divine Wrath plus a Max C to be able to potentially get multiple draws and these almost be free in a sense is kind of nice, but here it looks like they are just going to set 5 and pass. Over to L-Dragon, who gets a copy of Kage. They're going to normal summon Mermail, use the effect, and that is met with the Breakthrough Skill. The thing here, though, is when they go, they actually, I believe, should have priority here, where they should have to go for summon Mermail and use the effect and chain the Kage before Emmy actually gets the ability to activate the Breakthrough Skill here, if I'm not mistaken, because this has to be when the summon of this is activated. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure you can't really respond in between the window of Kage. So if the summon was good, which I see L-Dragon here asked, and they used the copy of Breakthrough Skill there. So technically, I think L-Dragon's still trying to do this properly, and regardless of how that worked out. But anyways, let's just keep moving forward from there. They say it's good, and here they weren't choosing to use the Max C either, which was a little interesting because they could have then chained the Max C and got a draw. But anyways, they are allowing it through, and here L-Dragon just goes to battle phase and attacks in with both. And just to keep in mind, for that Kage play, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, I believe you're still, like, you're able to respond differently, but back in H.A.T format, I think the way that this worked is you would have to activate this in response to the normal summon, and you'd have the priority to activate that before your opponent could go and activate things of those sorts. But let's keep going here. It looks like they went for a King of the Feral Imps, but that is met with the Blackhorn of Heaven. After that, they are going to just set a copy of Traptrix, Traphole Nightmare, and in the end phase, Emmy is going to activate that copy of Gear, summoning a Geargiano and a copy of MK2 that will both have their levels increased. Here, Emmy draws another Blackhorn of Heaven for turn, and here L-Dragon just drops the Max C right away because, you know, the first action would be that inherent summon of an Xyz monster. So here going for a copy of Geargigan X, and here L-Dragon gets a copy of Fiendish Chain. After that, Geargigan is going to activate and is going to be met with Traptrix, Traphole Nightmare, which will miss timing. And anyways, after that, Emmy just sets 1, and L-Dragon gets a Soul Charge for turn. From here, they're going to go for the Soul Charge, and Emmy is going to use that Max C now, and Mermail is summoned and Kage is summoned, and Emmy will draw a copy of Geargia Armor. From there, it looks like Mermail is going to activate, because it's mandatory, popping a copy of Divine Wrath, and from here, L-Dragon is just going to set Fiendish Chain, not wanting to give any more draws, and especially not wanting to take a risk in this position when they've already seen a copy of Blackhorn in the main. And after that, they also are going to set a Bluff Soul Charge. From here, Emmy draws a copy of Arsenal, which they are not going to use. Instead, they're just going to set the armor, playing it a little slow. L-Dragon drew a copy of Glass Draw, which is pretty good here. They're going to normal summon it, switch the Kage to attack into the armor, which is going to add a copy of Accelerator and get destroyed there. And then Kage is going to push in for some damage, and then Mermail is going to push in for some damage as well. Going into main phase 2, overlaying into a copy of Giant Hand, which is going to be met with the Blackhorn. And then from here, it looks like L-Dragon is going to special summon Spar Spar, and a lot of people get confused on this because it says if you control a battling boxer monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, you cannot conduct your battle phase for the rest of the turn, so you still are able to use this in main phase 2. A lot of people get confused about that, but you are able to do that. And from here, they are going to overlay into a copy of Lead Yoke. Back over to Emmy, who gets another copy of Armor here, which they are going to normal summon Arsenal, special summon Accelerator, use the effect of Arsenal, tributing it off for a copy of Armor, using the effect to flip it face down. So just playing it very slow and trying to get back some resources. And back over to Eldragon, who gets a Mermail. Mermail is going to be summoned. Divine Wrath is going to be chained to that, discarding the Armor, and then battle phase Lead Yoke into the copy of Armor, and Armor's going to add an MK2 there, so it looks like Emmy's in a pretty solid position. What was this backer again? Fiendish Chain and Soul Charge, so now it gets a little awkward for them. And they're going to normal summon the MK2, and that does meet the Fiendish Chain, so again, a level 3 and a level 4 isn't great. Obviously, the Accelerator will float, given, you know, Eldragon doesn't find a way to make it miss timing or anything, but we will have to see, and they set the wiretap there. Back over to Eldragon, who gets a Kage. Unfortunately, they can't do anything there. Here, Soul Charge is going to be activated. It seemed like they were thinking if they wanted to run over the MK2 or go for this, but here, summoning back Kage and double Mermail. And from here, Mermelios are going to pop that back row, overlaying, and it looks like Emmy is just going to scoop it up because, you know, there was just too much advantage from those soul charges at that point, but this time they will get to start out yet again. Opening hands, we see MST, Arsenal, Wiretap, Accelerator, and Dark Hole, and on the other side we see Rhoda, Spar, Fiendish Chain, Nobleman of Crossout, and another Fiendish Chain. So honestly, pretty alright hands from both players, and here Emmy will get to draw for turn, getting another copy of that Blackhorn, or I guess for this game, a copy of Blackhorn. So let's see how they choose to play this one out. Here they're going to normal summon Arsenal, use the effect, tributing it off to get a copy of Armor from deck, and just using its effect to set itself and setting some back row. So playing it very slow, not going for like a turn 1 Gear Gigant play or anything like that. Over to Eldragon, who gets a copy of Glassstraw. Here they're going to summon the Glassstraw, use the Nobleman, and from there go to battle phase, pushing in for 2,000. Glassstraw is just kind of a house of a monster on normal summon, despite its little bit of downside for its effect at times. Anyways, main phase 2, summoning that copy of Spar and going for Exciton, which surprisingly is already live, but that is going to be met with Blackhorn. From here, they are going to just set 3, blind MST, and they, you know, Emmy played into the fake set there of the Rhoda, though at the same time, that's kind of a real card, given this could have potentially got them a switch hitter, which would kind of get them a free Xyz at that rate. And yeah, no, Emmy didn't really have a way to play into that necessarily, because if they had gone for the switch hitter and then brought back something like the Glassstraw or the Spar and then gone into a Lead Yoke could protect from this. So honestly, it was a little risky to go for that. You'd almost want them to go for one of these Fiendish Chains, especially given how much lower in card advantage they sort of are. I guess they're technically up a little bit, but at the same time, this deck isn't really, given what they had, going to be pushing in for game or anything too easily. But anyways, over to Emmy, who gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill. From here, they are going to summon Accelerator and just poke in, setting that copy of Breakthrough Skill over to Eldragon, who gets a copy of Spar. So even with the draw of the Breakthrough Skill that would have stopped in that way the copy of the switch hitter, they would have still had the Spar as the draw. Obviously, that could have changed given they would have had one less card in deck, but it's just something to keep in mind there. And anyways, it looks like they're just going to set 1 and pass it over. Emmy gets a copy of Geargia Arsenal, which they're going to normal summon and just go to battle phase, but that is going to be met with Fiendish Chain, and after that, the Accelerator is going to attack into Spar, and both have the same attack and defense. So it looks like main phase 2, Arsenal is going to activate, summoning a copy of Armor effect to set itself over to Eldragon, who is going to scoop it up after seeing a wiretap. They don't really want to play through it. I think there was a reason to maybe stay in the game, but it also just wasn't looking good for them. So moving into game number 3, Eldragon will get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see wiretap, Max C, Arsenal, Gear, and Soul Charge. So very strong hand from Emmy K9 here. And on the other side, we see Solemn Warning, Switch Hitter, Wiretap, MST, and Traptrix, Traphole Nightmare. And they will get a draw for turn here, getting another copy of MST. So kind of unfortunate hand here, but we will see what happens here. Setting 5 and passing it over to Emmy K9, who gets another copy of Gear, which is very strong given Eldragon has the Wiretap, but they also do have the Warning. So depending on how that plays out, we will have to see. But Moving forward, they're going to normal summon Arsenal, go to battle phase, and attack in. And it is going to connect main phase 2, going for the Arsenal and going for armor effect to set itself. But that is going to be met with Traptrix Apple Nightmare. So very strong play there. And then setting 3 back row, MST is going to hit the Wiretap. MST is going to hit the Geargia gear. So now Eldragon's actually in a pretty solid position with the Warning and Wiretap here. And here they draw into a copy of Headgeared. So here they're going to normal summon Headgeared, use the effect to Foolish a copy of Glassjaw, and then go to battle phase attacking in for 1,000. In the end phase, Geargia gear is going to be activated, but that is going to be met with the Wiretap. And from here, it looks like MEK9 draws into a copy of MK2. And let's see what happens. Normal summon MK2, use the effect, and will Eldragon, they let it go through. Okay, and then Arsenal's going to use its effect, tributing off to summon a copy of Geargiano, overlaying into a copy of Alucard. Ooh, so this is kind of rough. They're going to warning the Alucard. Okay, very interesting. And they haven't gone to battle phase, so they can use this soul charge. So, you know, it seemed like Eldragon may have let that stuff go a little too long, and this soul charge will be the punish for that, bringing back 2, 3 monsters, 4 monsters here off of that soul charge. So going for definitely trying to get advantage here, using the copy of Arsenal to summon a copy of Accelerator, and then from here overlaying into a copy of Blackship Corn, which they're going to use the effect to send the copy of Headgeared. Obviously, they couldn't go to battle phase this turn, and they are going to do 1,000 damage. After that, overlaying into a defensive copy of Soul of Silver Mountain over to Eldragon, who gets a copy of Fiendish Chain. And unfortunately, they are going to summon this copy of Switch Hitter, which they kind of have to do, but Emmy has that Max C, so they have to play into it a bit here. So here, the Switch Hitter is going to summon back the Glassjaw, Max C's chained to the effect, and then Eldragon is going to overlay into a copy of Lead Yoke, which is very hard to out, realistically. So it's almost worth giving your opponent a couple draws. And here Emmy drew into a Max C and a Bottomless here, and then goes to battle phase and runs over that copy of Blackship Corn, and in main phase 2, setting that copy of Fiendish Chain. After that, Emmy is going to draw for turn, getting a copy of MK2, and here Soul of Silver Mountain is going to try to lock down that back row, but Fiendish Chain is going to meet that, so negating the Soul of Silver Mountain here. And after that, MK2 is going to be summoned, bringing back the copy of Arsenal, using the effect and going for an armor. Armor set itself, set the Bottomless over to Eldragon, who gets a Wiretap, going to battle phase, running over the copy of armor, just trying to clear it, but Accelerator will be added to hand there, sending that copy of Wiretap, and then over to Emmy, who gets another armor here, summoning the copy of armor, special summoning Accelerator, and going for probably a 101, which it is the 101, and it looks like Eldragon is going to scoop it up there. I feel like there's definitely a world in which they did have, you know, some better plays there, but it was kind of hard. Just that Soul Charge being one of the cards that Emmy had after going through all those resources is pretty rough. But overall, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays, whether you won or lost. If you thought the deck you or your opponent was on was pretty cool, feel free to send those in. I'm sure people would love to see them. But without further ado, anyways, I'll see you in the next video.